All persons having anything to do before the Honorable Rhea W. Zobel, Judge of the United States District Court for the District of Massachusetts, now holding in Boston, in and for the District of Massachusetts, may draw near and give their attendance, and they shall be heard. God save the United States of America and this honorable court. Court is now open. I ask that you all please remain standing for the presentation of the colors, please. And now they'll be singing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet
I ask that you all please be seated, and Mr. Larry Bacall is going to come up to speak, please.
Thank you very much, and welcome everybody to this very special occasion. I'd like everybody to be comfortable and enjoy the ceremonies, and so I invite especially young people to comment on the procedures in any way that they see fit. Your Honor, I hope that will also be okay in your courtroom. As president of the university, it's a very, very special honor for me to welcome each and every one of you to participate in this ceremony today, and to congratulate those of you who will soon be my fellow citizens on your remarkable achievement. You've spent many hours studying and preparing for a test that I suspect many members of this community perhaps could not pass on their own. You learned about the history of the United States, the brilliance of our Constitution, and I do not say that lightly. It is a brilliant document, and the rights and responsibilities of citizenship. And you did it all while juggling many different responsibilities to your family, to your employers, to your friends, your neighbors, and to others. So let me just say, well done to each and every one of you. You've worked very hard. And in this season of commencement, this is a very special form of commencement to be holding here on the Harvard campus. Please know that I and all of the members of our community are grateful for your example and inspired by your choice, by your decision to become citizens. You represent the highest ideals of our nation, and I hope that you will take a moment today to really enjoy and revel in your accomplishment. Being here is important to me, not just because I have the privilege of being president of this great university. It's important to me because I am the son of immigrants. My father was born in Minsk, and he came to this country as a child, like so many others, in search of freedom and opportunity. He came here to avoid the pogroms of Eastern Europe. My mother was born in Germany, was the only member of her family who survived Auschwitz, and came to this country on a troop ship, a Liberty ship as they were called back then, which brought refugees from Europe after World War II. She was a teenager at the time, and she always said the proudest day of her life was when she did what you are about to do in just a few moments. Like many others, my family thrived in the United States. I grew up in Michigan, in Pontiac, Michigan, a working class town, and my parents worked very, very hard to ensure that I would have a good life and my sister would as well. They encouraged us to do our best, to study hard, to excel in school. In fact, I would not be here speaking to you if my parents had not had the commitment to ensure that their sons and daughter got a great education. I think education represents an important part of the American dream. It is a way to extend opportunity to the next generation. And in fact, one of the reasons why I'm so proud to do what I do is to try and ensure that opportunity is available to future generations, just as it has been made available to each and every one of us. I hope that all of you will continue to challenge yourselves in every possible dimension of your lives, and I hope you will let us know about your successes in the future. The American dream is something to which all of us can aspire, but which none of us should take for granted. And now, as citizens, you have a special responsibility, I think, to also ensure that this dream of a better life, this dream of citizenship, is made available to those who will now come after each and every one of you. The American dream made a big difference in my life, as I'm sure it has already made a difference in yours. Congratulations again to you and to every single person who helped to support you to get to this day. None of you did this on your own, I know. It was your family, your friends, some cases, your parents, your children, your loved ones who helped you reach this particular moment in time. And I actually hope that at this point, those of you who are being sworn in today will join me in recognizing the people who helped get you here today with a round of applause for their support. So once again, to each and every one of you, welcome to becoming citizens of this great nation. Welcome to Harvard, and welcome to this very, very important day. It's an honor to be able to be here with you to share it. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to depart now to attend to other responsibilities, but thank you for giving me the opportunity to be part of this special day in each and every one of your lives. Congratulations.
Good afternoon. My name is Dennis Riordan, and I am pleased to represent the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services within the Department of Homeland Security at these proceedings today. Your Honor, there are 3 applicants for naturalization present who wish to change their names as part of the naturalization process. The government has investigated the reasons for these changes and interposes no objection. I respectfully move that all 3 name changes be allowed.
When counsel, or Mr. Riordan, says he moves the court to do something, it doesn't mean he puts it from one side to the other. It's legal language that says request that something be done. He requested that 3 of you be allowed to change your names, and I certainly have no objections, and the motion is allowed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, there are 43 applicants for naturalization present here today. Each applicant has been duly examined under the provisions of the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1952 as amended, and they have been found well qualified for United States citizenship. At this time, I respectfully move that you request the clerk of the court to administer the oath of allegiance to all 43 applicants, thus bestowing upon them one of our nation's highest honors, United States citizenship.
I'm especially pleased to allow that motion.
Thank you, Your Honor.
But before, and thank you, Mr. Riordan, but before we get to that, what I would like to do is to read the names of the countries from which you have come. And I would ask each of you who is about to become a citizen, when your country is called, to rise and then to remain standing until we're done. Now, in a number of these ceremonies that we have done in the past, there was a sort of a majority of Brazilians who had very active relatives and friends who cheered on their relatives and friends who are about to be citizens. I encourage all of you to do that. I note, however, that the Brazilians are outnumbered this year. So all of you have a chance, and please cheer on your friends and relatives who are about to take the oath. Albania. Brazil is second. Bulgaria. No, please, remain standing. Remain standing. We like to see the sea of people. Cabo Verde. Canada. China. Colombia. Congo, Kinshasa. Dominican Republic. Ethiopia. Germany. Where's Germany? Ah. Welcome. Guatemala. Haiti. India. Iraq. Kenya. South Korea. Malaysia. Morocco. Nepal. Netherlands. Nicaragua. Poland. United Kingdom, not so united. Vietnam. Did I miss anybody? One year I left out all the I's. No Italians, no. Well, I will now, please remain standing. Ms. Urso will now administer the oath of allegiance.
Can I have all the applicants please raise your right hand? And please repeat after me. After the word I ask you please to individually each state your own name. So hereby declare on oath that I absolutely and entirely renounce and abjure all allegiance and fidelity to any foreign prince, potentate, state or sovereignty, of whom or of which I have heretofore been a subject or citizen, that I will support and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I will bear arms on behalf of the United States when required by the law, that I will perform non-combatant service in the armed forces of the United States when required by the law, that I will perform work of national importance under civilian direction when required by the law, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, so help me God. You may be seated, please. Thank you and congratulations.
My fellow immigrants, it is with great pleasure that I welcome you as fellow citizens. So let us celebrate your entrance upon citizenship. We do so in a place that studies and teaches the history of migrations, that researches, reports, and writes about citizenship and self-government, that encourages and supports knowledge of international law and policy and their effect on and coordination with our domestic agendas. It is also a place where students from every part of the world come to learn about their countries and the United States, all with the aim of improving governments and the common weal. It is thus a most fitting place to consummate your quest for citizenship of this country. And I salute you on your endurance and perseverance to finally reach this very special day. Some years ago, I stood as you have stood, an outsider in a foreign land, full of anxiety, yet vibrant with hope. And like you, I took an oath as old as the written Constitution, forsaking all past allegiances and entrusting my future to a nation of people whose very fabric arose from the aspirations and spirits of untold thousands like us. When then I had spoken the words of fealty, I felt as you now feel, and knew as you now know. The oath is no mere legal formality. It was rather an affirmation of faith and will, a pledging of myself to an enterprise in human freedom. I felt as you will feel, no longer a guest, no longer an outsider, no longer a spectator. I had become, as each of you has now become, a participant in that endless effort which, by assumption of responsibility for all, seeks to attain the perfect social compact. The United States of America began as an experiment in self-government. Although not always and not totally successful, the experiment has worked well enough to command our continued commitment, effort, and loyalty. And an effort it is. Do not be misled. Our institutions are under attack. They are at risk. They are under attack from those who flout the law and from those who would fight lawlessness by curtailing our rights. They are at risk because the enormous complexity of life brings out our natural desire for simple solutions. They are at risk because the great power devolved on just a few causes the rest of us to become paralyzed with a sense of futility. They are at risk because huge changes in our economy and government recast our priorities, and the desire for safety and security often trumps our basic values. To guard against encroachment on our civil rights, we must maintain vigilance. To preserve liberty against simple solutions, we must increase our understanding of government. To overcome loss of control, loss of power, we must participate in government. Now you will be participants as well. You too now have a stake in that experiment in self-government of which I spoke earlier. It is a wonderful experiment and fully worthy of the effort of us all. It still distinguishes this country from nearly all others in the world. I welcome each of you to the American Commonwealth, and I wish for each of you happiness and satisfaction in the mighty work of citizenship. Now, to ensure your happiness and satisfaction, the Kennedy School, with the assistance of the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services and the City of Cambridge, has arranged for you to be able immediately to register to vote. There is a table right outside the door, and every one of you who has just taken the oath is not just requested, but ordered to go there and register to vote, and then to exercise that right. So I expect each of you who is at least 18 years old, children can't, unfortunately, will, after we close the ceremony, report to the voter registration table on my left, your right. There are no refreshments until you do that. Thank you very much, and all the best to each of you. Oh, I'm sorry, I should have introduced you. Oh, this is terrible. We have more speakers today than we normally do, so I am forgetting my duties. Professor Archon Fung, who is and this is a mouthful, the Winthrop Laughlin McCormick Professor of Citizenship and Self-Government, will now address you. He teaches at the Kennedy School here, is very familiar with what it does and the great things that are happening in this place and will happen to you as citizens.
Thank you very much, Judge Zobel, for your inspiring remarks, and to Director Riordan. I also want to thank Jim Carr, who is a leader on the advisory board of the Hispanic Policy Journal, for encouraging today's event over many years. Most importantly, however, I want to congratulate everyone who's here, who's traveled so long and so far to cross a great threshold and begin the next chapter of your lives as American citizens. This is a wonderful day. I'm incredibly proud that my colleagues and I are welcoming you as new citizens here at the Harvard Kennedy School. This is the first time we've hosted a citizenship ceremony for members of the Boston and Massachusetts community. As a school dedicated to public service, I can think of no better way to enact our values than to share this space with you as you join the American public as active citizens. I was born in the United States in Somerville, just a few miles from where we stand now. But like many of you, my parents journeyed far, overcoming many obstacles to become American. Their journey enabled them to bless me with the life that I've been able to lead. My father says that he has lived under 4 occupied territories. The Portuguese occupied his native Macau. He fled the Japanese during World War II. He lived under the British rule of Hong Kong as a young man, and then lived under the Communist Party takeover of China in the 1950s before coming to America as a student in the 60s. In this country, he married my mother. As a small girl, she also fled the invading Japanese army as a refugee. She grew up in Hong Kong and then immigrated to America with her parents and 4 brothers and sisters to seek opportunity, like so many millions before and after them. They found that opportunity, as I'm sure you will as well. I'm the prime beneficiary of the opportunity that they found. Though their labors and bold journey enabled me to become a professor of public policy here, they did not always understand my path because the lands in which they came from are so different from this one. When I became active in politics in college, my parents grew anxious and concerned for my welfare. There's an Asian proverb that says that the nail that sticks up gets hammered down. When a large part of your experience is in societies with authoritarian or military governments, as was my parents, and as some of yours has been, I imagine that wisdom seeps into your bones. But today, you leave those ways behind because America is different. This is a free country. Indeed, the health of our participatory democracy depends upon all Americans speaking up, speaking out, and figuring out how we want to live together in one country. Without that active citizenship, we lose what is most valuable and distinctive. More than 150 years ago, in the greatest American speech ever given, President Abraham Lincoln reminded us that this new nation was conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Today, you join that great American experiment. It is an audacious proposition. How can more than 300 million citizens who are free and equal, who have so many different cultures, faith, beliefs, backgrounds, and ideals, govern ourselves better than societies ruled by leaders, classes, or families who hold themselves out to be especially wise, benevolent, or true? Today, in becoming American, you join with hundreds of millions of us who are betting that democracy is the best form of government. I believe deeply that that is the best bet to make. Even the best and brightest rulers don't possess a monopoly on wisdom. The best ideas about how to make our country even better often come from surprising places and surprising people. When asked why experts shouldn't run everything, the philosopher John Dewey responded that the shoemaker makes the shoe, but only the person who wears the shoe knows where it pinches. Democracy is all about us being able to say where that shoe pinches. Democracy enables those who are being left behind, held down to speak up. Advancing justice requires the least among us to rise up. Many of you have seen directly how ruling classes and families easily become indifferent to the disadvantaged. In no small measure, the history of our democracy is the story of disadvantaged and oppressed people lifting themselves up. Abolitionists against slavery, trade unionists creating better working conditions, suffragists winning women's right to vote, and civil rights activists creating greater racial inclusion. The success of our democracy depends on your active participation. Much of the American experience has been, as Lincoln put it later in the Gettysburg Address, testing whether that nation, or any nation, so conceived and so dedicated in liberty and to equality, can long endure. America will endure and become greater only if you, like generations of new Americans before you, continue to make it so. Your participation in the American project begins with a minimal, simple act of voting. I'm asking each of you and all of your family members to register to vote today, as Judge Zobel did. We set up registration tables on the way to the reception after this ceremony. But voting is only the bare minimum. The duties of citizenship require you to be engaged, attentive, and constructive participants in your community as well as national democracy. Some say that they would rather stay out of public affairs when politics is so full of strife as it is today. But it is in these moments of difficulty that our country most needs your generous, constructive, and principled citizenship. Because you, by being here today, show that you are deeply committed to building a better America by building bridges of understanding and common action with other Americans. That commitment, and that commitment alone, will assure that government of the people, by the people, and for the people does not perish from this earth. Thank you.
Juan Carlos Martinez Roa is now going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and I would ask you all to rise for that.
Please place your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Now, the next event, this is a series of events, as you can tell, will be the almost final one. The final one is you're signing up to vote. Professor Tariq Masood, a professor of public policy and the Sultan of Oman Professor of International Relations, and Megan O'Sullivan, Jean Kirkpatrick Professor of the Practice of International Affairs, both at the Kennedy School here, will now hand out the certificates to each of you who has just become a citizen. You need to have that to register.
Yes, you have to hand
Very good. Are you going to hand some? So I'll hand you the bunch and you can hand to him.
Actually, if you hand them all to Tariq, and then he and I are going to switch halfway through.
Okay. So we're playing a silly game in a way, but the law is that I have to do this. However, I can appoint somebody. So I'm appointing the two professors to do this. Here are the certificates. They do the heavy work, and I take all the credit.
Thank you.
And they have names on them. Yes.
And they'll come up to here. Good afternoon. I'm Professor Megan O'Sullivan, and our speeches are done, but I did want to offer you my hearty congratulations and to say how moved I am to be a very small part of your day. We welcome you as our new citizens, and we're excited for your participation in our democracy. So I will begin by reading names. Please come up and receive your certificate from Professor Masood. Esther Suazo. Ardian Noti. Zhu Zhuoshizan. Allison Baker. Sue Guanangchi. Liu Xiaofeng. Georges Chavanez. Samuel de la Cruz. Julia Blackburn Otero. Kinam Go. Jeff Malumba. Lauren Piano Segura. Maria Zapata Villa. Calixta de Nunez. Lee Chun-yi. Ashok Danuk. Ghislaine Sobrino. Carla Acevedo Cuarez. Sarajit Singh. Yasmel Rodriguez Agramonte. Maria Agramonte Gonzalez. And now, because we couldn't decide who would read and who would shake your hands, we're going to switch.
Dao Zhuhong. Detlev Benishkevitz. Teskera Shamsu. Kalina Parusheva. Adainir Fernandez. Hokyin Shum. Wu Tae Yang. Shay Crook. Ariana Barbosa Montero. Zienu Nuru. Anmar Muttalib. Priyank Salicha. Ajay Rodriguez. Yusuf Mafhoom. Ana Jaimes Torres. Susan Kurtz. Joseph Kinyua. Jefte Pierre. Benny Thomas. Huing Quing. Jay Utao. And Marta Tomaszewska. I think we've now handed out the certificates. There may be another bit of the ceremony. Yes. Okay. We're not done yet. Your Honor.
Thank you very much for the seamless presentation of the certificates. We will now, having celebrated you, will celebrate our country with a rendition of America the Beautiful, sung by Avanti Nagral, accompanied by Andrew Bostrom and Charity Ann Brady, guitar and violin respectively.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesty above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed His grace on thee and crowned thy soul in brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful for pilgrim feet in stern impassioned stress, a thoroughfare for freedom be across the wilderness. America, America, God mend thine every flaw, confirm thy soul in self-control and liberty in law. Oh, beautiful for spacious sky, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesty above the fruited plain. America, America, may God thy gold refine, till all success be nobleness and every gain divine. Oh, beautiful ancient stream, all seas beyond the years, thine alabaster cities gleam, undimmed by human tears. America, America, may God shed grace on thee and crown thy soul in brotherhood from sea to shining sea, and crown thy soul in brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
So the United States District Court for the District of Massachusetts is now closed. I'd just like to ask you to please remain standing while the judge exits the court, and congratulations.
So as we close, I want to invite everyone in the room, families, friends, observers, new American citizens, to join us in a reception in the Wexner Commons, which if you go through those curtains and go down the stairs, you can't miss it. It's a great glassed-in garden where we'll be able to enjoy more conversation and celebrate this great day. Thank you very much.
To go this way for registering to vote.
Yeah, you can go through either curtain. I think the table is right out there. Yeah. Okay. But look for the table and register to vote first. Thank you very much.
I just didn't want you to undo all the good.
No.